Feel about the Niners? Their window's still wide ass open? I think so. I mean, watching them the other night, their window has been a long time now.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Buffalo Bills have had a long window that everybody thinks that, and people have tried to close it on them numerous different times. I don't know if Josh Allen's ever going to let that happen. You know, he's jumping over people, doing his entire thing. But the Niners feels like their window is only extending and extending every single year. Obviously, a lot of contract stuff, and there's conversation about stuff, but massive win, prime time. Fred Warner's playing mid-season form already. Punch out in the first quarter changes the entire game. This team is so good at football. They just so happen to be in the Chiefs era right now. Is that kind of the way to describe it?
I think we might be dealing with a few teams somewhat like that. When I think of the Niners and how unbelievably that team has been built and playing. I think of the Bills with Josh Allen and what they've had the opportunity they've had these last few years. We might have a situation in the NFL where we have a Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, where you're just in the Jordan era. In a Patrick Ewing situation, you're in the Jordan era. You're playing against Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they just happen to be better at the current moment, and they win in the biggest game at the right time. Whereas, in a different alternate universe, maybe the Niners have a couple championships. Maybe the Bills go on to win a couple championships, and the narratives are completely different. But there's this guy wearing a 1-5 in Kansas City that just happens to be taking all the championships at the moment.
Phil Mickelson, Powerade. You can go down the line in all these things that are very, very good, but happen to be in the same exact time frame as somebody who's so incredibly dominant. You think they go 3 straight? That's bananas to think about. But the way they came out so focused, like that team, the way they handled preseason, the way they've been talking literally since they won the last Super Bowl, it's like, now we're trying to do 3 straight. Like that's the entirety of it all. Have to get very lucky with injuries. They had the fastest guy in the history of the NFL Combine. Oh, and they know how to use it. They figured out how to use it too, apparently. Do you think they go 3 straight? That's crazy to even think about, especially with how much goes into it all.
It's extremely difficult to say otherwise because you don't want to look like a fool. I mean, last year people trying to pick different teams, and they are that good. They do have a coach that good. They do practice at the level you need to practice at. They do have the squad. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I would confidently pick anybody else over them. Now, again, you look at the Niners, they have a phenomenal team. I mean, it's crazy when you watch their games and you watch how many great players they have all over the field, every position. And then a guy like CMC goes down, and the guy who fills in for him just happened to have like 150 yards in an unbelievable game. Yeah. I do think the Texans are a team that has an opportunity to compete and to give them a run. But I think at the current moment, you just have to have the Chiefs, and then there's a tier 2 with teams that could possibly beat the Chiefs. And I do think the Ravens are in that, obviously shortened by a toe, just missed by a toe. But you can't take away from the Chiefs at this current moment.
And the Colts, obviously, you left them out, just lost by 2 to the Texans that he decided to put into this list of people at the top of the AFC. The AFC's deep. The AFC's deep. The NFC's deep. The NFC's got some teams. Like, I like the Lions a lot. Obviously, we all like the Lions a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like Niners time. How about the Eagles all of a sudden?
Sure.
How about the Eagles all of a sudden add another weapon in Saquon Barkley? I think we're going to see some of the Eagles tape a little bit later whenever we go in the trenches with AQ Shipley. And it's like, what about the Rams? They come back, lead that thing to the overtime against the Lions, who everybody likes. It's like, what if the Rams are good?
Cowboys look good.
That's the beauty of this league, man. It's like people will write people off. Like I think about the Patriots. We had a full discussion on CBS this weekend about the AFC East and who's going to win that division. Every single one of us, myself included, I have to take my blame.
That's good journalistic standards.
Wow.
Who's going to win?
Accountability.
Thank you. Honorable thing to do. But we were talking about it's a 3-team race. How are the Jets going to look? The Bills, the Dolphins. Nobody, not a single person mentioned the Patriots. And I think if you look at all those charts where they pick who's going to win this game this weekend, I don't know if anybody picked the Patriots to beat the Bengals. Yet all they did was go out there and play great football and find a way to win a game on the road. So you got to give credit to them, and that was impressive.
Go ahead, AJ.
JJ, AQ was speaking earlier about offenses, and more importantly, offense like receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, and even the offensive line needs, he feels like they need those preseason reps in games. I know some of these teams that have had success early through week 1, they played a little bit. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think offenses need to get in there and need to see some live action during the preseason?
Yeah, I do. I've always been a believer in that. I believe that it's timing, it's rhythm, and the speed of the game is faster in a regular season game, even from a preseason game. But the closest you can get to it is playing in a preseason game. I don't think joint practice is simulated enough. And I definitely don't think that regular practice is simulated enough. The only way that you can get true quality looks is by playing a game. So I do think it's more beneficial when you play a few snaps at least in the preseason, so that the first time you're doing it isn't out there in week one.
Good news. In like 6 weeks, none of this is going to matter. We're going to know everything about everybody, and we're still going to have another 11 weeks left in the season. Yes. So we got nothing but time to figure it all out. We do wish that we would know immediately upon week one, but that's not the way the cookie crumbles.
No, it's not.
Hey-oh! Can't wait.